Okay, two stories about transportation today. And I don't mean planes, trains, and automobiles. I mean being transported. So a good story can transport you. Takes you out of the present. Your imagination is engaged. You're lost in the world of the story. That's one of the appealing things about it. That's why I love the arts form so much. So that kind of transportation, being transported. Two stories. First, last week I was at a rehearsal. It was a gathering of 4 performers. We were going to do a show together. The producers had not seen our material, so it was a chance for us to share it with them. And one of the performers was doing 2 character monologues. And she had put a lot of thought into crafting these characters. And when she performed the monologues for us, one of them immediately transported me. She had a fully realized character, a dramatic person that wasn't herself, and this character was telling her life story. And I was immediately engaged. I was transported to a different place and time, and I really enjoyed it. The second monologue she didn't engage me. I was not transported, and I couldn't figure out why. I mean, I could imagine where the character was. I was getting that from the story. I could understand the character's emotional state, but I wasn't being transported. I wasn't being taken away. And then I realized later, for me, the reason was the second character was inviting us into an emotional moment, sharing what was going on with her at the time, but not in story form, not really telling a full, drawn-out story. And so I wasn't transported. So I'm wondering if that's a bias of mine, that in order for me to be engaged and really transported, I wanted to follow a story. Or maybe that was just the expectation that I was going to hear a story and I didn't, and that's why I was lost. Because you can be transported without a story, right? Music can do that, or visual art could transport you. But I just was thinking about the difference between those 2 character monologues. Let's go on to the second story. Last weekend was the Bay Area Storytelling Festival, and I had the great good fortune to go attend a workshop by Ben Haggerty of London. He was doing a performance of his Frankenstein story. It's something he often does with a musician. Here he was telling it solo, about an hour and 50-minute piece. And in the middle there was a break, and the people sitting next to me turned to me and said, "Wasn't that amazing?" I said, "Yeah, it was amazing. It truly was." And one of them said to me, could you see what he was doing with his voice? I mean, sometimes he was projecting from down here, and sometimes he was using the mask to resonate from up here, but it was in a very high register, and I was impressed by he could keep his breath supported that long. Now, he was doing this performance in front of 100 people in a chapel, so there was no amplification, no microphone. Ben Haggerty was just up on stage telling us the story. But I had to nod at my friend who was telling me about his vocal characteristics that he was hearing. But really, I hadn't paid any attention to that. Even though I understand the importance of vocal support, I've had theatrical training, I know how to use the voice, and as a performer myself, I'm very interested in craft and technique. But in this case, the story that Ben was telling was so transporting, I was lost in the world of the story. I remember at the beginning when he came up on stage, my playwright brain was saying, he's introducing the world in this way, and look at those gestures. But within 2 minutes, I think, I stopped evaluating the performance in terms of technique and was caught up in the world of the story, which was a great thing. Because I often think that as a performer and someone who's interested in technique and craft, sometimes I can be too caught up in, can I hear this story? Oh, that's an interesting word choice. How are they engaging with the audience? And that can pull me out of the story world and into the present, and I become, judgmental and evaluative. Not necessarily judgmental, but what can I learn from this? How could this performance be more interesting or more engaging? So just those 2 brief examples of transportation lead me to this question. What is it about storytelling that transports you? Lost my train of thought. coming back. When are you transported? And what pulls you out of being transported? You can leave comments on the blog, and I will see you next time. Also, let me know what you think of these video entries. Thanks.